dream that never ends. The fighter in you brings out the fighter in me. Shake it off and take your corner, time for shout out.
Welcome back, fight friends, to another edition of the Mighty Shadow Fight Podcast. Look who it is, my drinking buddy, Iman Barlow. How are you doing, Iman? Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I'll tell you what, before we started this, I've had a few guests who have created some buzz. I always bring this up, Liam Harrison being one of them. But I got to be honest, besides Liam, you have to be number two. I haven't had such a response since I said that you were coming on the podcast like I have since announcing that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you.
Got some fans out there.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I fought in Canada, but I've also fought all around the world. So it's really nice to, different people from different countries that support me still.
Yeah. So things move fast. So, I mean, who knows? But do you know when your last fight was?
2023.
Okay. And are you officially retired?
Yeah, that's it. I've retired. I made the decision in it was October 2023. And then I kind of made a video because I thought it was special. I didn't want to just put a Facebook status. I don't know. It was a bit weird. Sure. So yeah, then I made the video, was happy with it. I kept hold of it for a while. And then it got to a point where we're already in April 2024. And I was like, I think I need to post this now. So yeah.
Time to get that video off your phone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was kind of on my mind. And also it gave me that time to, ensure that I was happy with my decision, because I didn't want to retire. I'd been fighting all the time. So yeah, I just kept getting kind of less fight opportunities and fight dates. And we hold such high standards that how can I carry on fighting to the standard I was if I wasn't getting fights regular? So it became difficult more mentally as it kind of progressed. So yeah, I was kind of done with it, and
sure,
that was it.
Yeah, the tip of the spear fighters like yourself need to stay sharp, and the only reason you stay sharp at the tip of the spear is by fighting. Yeah,
exactly. You can do all the training in the world, but I always said that I just love to fight. That's the only reason as well. It's sometimes that I trained, and it kept me in the gym because I just love to fight.
Yeah, I hear you. Before we continue on with some fight talk, although I do expect you to brag about yourself, I'll help you a little bit. For those who don't know, Iman Barlow is easily one of the most decorated female fighters of all time. If not, take out the word female, the most decorated Muay Thai fighters of all time, especially in our era. I'm wondering if you can break down where martial arts started for you, because I know it's at a very, very young age. How you came into martial arts, how fighting started, and just kind of that journey up to, I guess, through the fight years. And then, of course, you'll have to excuse me, I'll ask some questions on the way.
Yeah. No, it was quite simple, really. My dad had a gym, and my mum also was an instructor.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm already going to interrupt. So besides you being my drinking buddy that night, it was also your dad. I'm just curious, how was your dad feeling the next day after that? Do you remember?
He doesn't drink. Literally, he'll have a shandy on a Friday night, and then on special occasions he might have a few beers. But yeah, it doesn't take him much. Nice.
Well earned. I'm sorry. Go ahead. And shout out to your dad as well. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, he's all good. Thank you.
Awesome.
So yeah, my mum and dad are both instructors, and instead of kind of getting a babysitter, they just used to stick me in the corner, and I just used to join in and just used to copy the adults, really. And then at 4, I had my first interclub, and then just went on to fight from there. Every weekend we used to be at fights, or also I used to do running events, cross country. So here it's in the mud in the winter, and then track in the summer. I used to do that a lot. So if I wasn't fighting, I was racing, and sometimes it was both in one day.
Wow.
So we be very sporty, doing stuff every weekend. My mum and dad would take me up and down the country to fight, and to run. and then yeah, abroad as well. And it just kind of started from there, really.
Yeah. At what point, at a young age, you do it because your parents like it or you get sucked into the lifestyle. But at what age were you doing it for yourself? Like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know, but when I was a teenager, when I was about 16, I kind of thought, oh, I hate this. I don't want to do it anymore.
16-year-olds.
Yeah, teenager. I moved out for a bit, and then after a year, I was like, what am I doing? Obviously all my friends on my Facebook were Thai boxers, and I was seeing them kind of carry on with what they were doing. And yeah, it just hit me then. I came back after a year, and just it was like I was almost stronger then, because I knew I wanted to do it for myself. And
Right.
literally after that, I was just on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of break sometimes will do some good. Hey, like let you really know if you want it or you don't.
Yeah, definitely. Especially growing up with it, it was almost like, not that I had to do it, but it was like a routine. And I broke out of the routine and was like, just, yeah, a typical teenager. I wasn't allowed to do certain things, wasn't allowed to go out with my friends drinking.
Right. Gonna rebel a little.
And then, so I did all that and then realized I wasn't actually missing out. So it was probably, even though it was a tough year, it was probably the best thing I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's usually where growth happens, through the tough parts.
Yeah, definitely.
How many fights did you have before you were 16 then, before you sort of took the reins on your own a little bit?
Over 100. Well, I had over 100 junior fights, and then I probably had my first like A-class fight when I was 12. Obviously in Thailand, the rules are a bit different in England. And I was fighting what I would say were adults when I was 13. When I was 13, I fought a 31-year-old from Spain.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it just kind of happened from there, really. From the age of 13, I was fighting adults. And it was back when like YouTube wasn't around as much, especially fights and clips, social media clips and things like that. So I wouldn't know who they were, and they'd come over. Sometimes my dad wouldn't actually tell them my age.
Sure.
And yeah, it just happened from there. But it wasn't very often that I lost.
True that. Preach. So you're telling me you've had like over 200 fights?
Yeah, so my professional record was 128 fights with 5 losses and 3 draws.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then obviously just my junior fights, which was over 100. But like, I wouldn't say, we don't count them, but yeah, professional.
I'm counting them.
Yeah, I had a lot. Yeah, and it just
so that's
became
closer to like 300 than 200.
Your maths is off. It's usually 50 and round up, but we can say that.
Okay, well, I'm taking it 300. Let's call it 400. Where did your parents are they that driven, or did they recognize the talent in you? Like, how do you get to 100 junior fights? Like who's pushing who here?
I don't really know. My dad definitely pushed me.
Yeah.
And so did my mum as well. My mum was like my inspiration. When I was like, I think I was around 5, I remember we fought on the same show.
Cool.
It was like at a working men's club. And I just remember it was so cool, like when you're so young, that my mum was getting ready to do a walkout, and there was like a silhouette of her, like a shadow behind this screen, and her hands were like that, and it just like looked just so amazing. And I just thought, oh wow, like that's my mum. I want to be like that.
Wonder Woman probably looked like.
Yeah, and It was just good. And we both fought on the same night and both won, and that's a memory like I always remember. There's certain things obviously I don't remember. I just always have done it, and I've not always enjoyed it, but I just it was just exactly. But I did enjoy fighting when I was young, because I definitely would have said if I didn't. And yeah, I just would love to fight even at a young age. I'd love to compete, and that became normal. Like, it was normal to do that at weekends, whereas my friends were probably at birthday parties and going to the seaside and things. It was normal for me to be with my Thai boxing kind of gang or friends, that kind of team, and travel up and down the country every weekend and do things like that.
Yeah, and I guess you just know what you know. Your friend goes bowling, that guy plays darts, I go fight. Like,
Yeah, especially after the summer when you'd come back we have like a big 6 week summer holiday, and we'd come back and everyone would say, you know, oh, I went to Spain, or I went to the local seaside, or anything like that. And I'd be like, I've been to Thailand for 6 weeks.
no kidding. Well, where's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Was there a lot of with that many junior fights? I'm just curious. Did you have to fight any guys at all, or like was there lots of opportunities for girls?
Yeah, obviously at a certain age, I'd kind of fought all the girls kind of my weight and age. And then sometimes I'd fight people that were a bit older, and sometimes like a couple of kilos heavier. And then after that, yeah, I just went in with the boys. It was normal to me. It didn't matter if they were boys or girls. And it was a lot of the time actually that the boys didn't want to fight me because I was a girl. But then I would actually like just annihilate them.
Sure. Nice.
But then obviously at a certain age, I think it was like when I was around 12, it was just girls then. But yeah, fighting boys was normal. It didn't matter to me. It was the same in the gym, you know, sparring. There was obviously not many girls, and there still isn't now in our area. So sparring with boys is completely normal. In fact, it's more offensive if a guy doesn't almost want to hit you because you're a girl.
Yeah, I hear you.
Obviously, I understand that they definitely have a lot more power usually than a woman. But yeah, I'll just kind of, you know, obviously they ease down on the power, but it is normal.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's pretty wild to hear. How many guys did you say you fought? Do you know?
Obviously it was more like young boys, but it was probably close to half, or maybe or maybe a quarter. I don't know.
Yeah,
and
but a few, definitely a few.
Oh, definitely a few. Yeah, and sometimes you'd have more than one fight in a day as well. Yeah, sometimes I'd kind of, if we were doing competitions as well, I'd kind of enter everything. So it was sometimes they used to do like Thai boxing, K1 and kickboxing. And my dad used to make me enter me in all three just so I'd get more fights.
Sure.
Because when you're a female, there's less competitors anyway. So a lot of the time, if it was competitions like that, I'd always be in a straight final, whereas everyone else would be buzzing about that. We were quite kind of like, well, we want more fights.
Yeah.
So actually, and also if there was ever like 3 or 5 people in like a category, my dad would never, he'd say to the organizer, like, I don't want her to have a bye. Like, I want her to have like the hardest route. Yeah.
Oh, that's a hard coach.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought of it like that. Like I wouldn't know that kind of side of things. I'd just be like, oh, I've got 3 fights instead of 1 or instead of 2. But yeah, that's what he used to do. Nice.
Tell us a little bit about the gym itself. You know, how many sort of fighters and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so our gym is in Melton Mowbray, which is actually quite a small town in like the middle of the UK.
Okay.
Actually in our garden.
I thought so. That's what Instagram was telling me anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we probably have around, it's difficult to tell. And then we've got another gym as well based in Leicester, which is like the nearest city. It's about half an hour from us. So we have like both gyms running at the same time. Fighters at both gyms as well, and then 2 times a week they all come together. So Friday night we have sparring and we all come together for that, and then Sunday we have like what's called the fighters class, where we all come together again for that. But I'd say more people are coming through now, so we've probably got around 20 fighters. Not all, some are just starting off.
Sure.
But some are like old school. I'd say I was like the last one left of that era. Now they're all kind of younger than me.
Right.
My brother, who's a few years younger, my brother Tyree Stevens, George, and Libis. They've all been with us since they were kids. So they're in like their early 20s, and they've been with us since some at 5 years old and some at like 10 years old. So
Nice.
we're like the old school gang, but there's new people coming through, and it's nice.
Yeah, yeah, and a good mix of both, and a testament to the stable when you can keep people 20 years plus. I mean, that's testament to you guys, obviously, and your team.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, over the time that I've been training, I've seen a lot of people come and go. So yeah, it's I've seen a lot over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. Well, yeah, especially when you're Miss International, fighting all over the place, winning belts and stuff. I bet.
Yeah. Well, and they're always like, "Oh, I remember you when you were this big," and it's like, "Yeah, I'm actually 31 now." They're like, "What?"
Time moves fast.
Yeah.
Do you have any other interests outside from Muay Thai?
Not really.
I don't. Don't worry. I know it's a silly question, but I don't.
Yeah, so difficult because even when I was like, at the peak of my fighting, I'd never really like watch fights. Like I'd obviously go to shows if we had people on, but like watching on YouTube and studying people, like I've never been that type of person because my life was so heavily involved in Thai boxing anyway.
Right.
When I got my free time, I just liked to switch off.
Yeah, turn that off. Yeah.
But now I just kind of work and train and just enjoy life. Yeah, I've not really got any hobbies.
Okay. So let's talk about that though real quick. Are you having difficulty with that retirement life?
No.
No.
No, I'm not actually. I'm quite happy and content with my decision.
Nice.
But actually, I'd describe it. This is probably the wrong way to describe it, but like I deem myself as like normal now. Like I'm having a normal life.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more boring than I thought.
Sure. Yeah. Going from the other one. Yeah.
It's like living the life of training all the time and always being so tired and my muscles aching, and that kind of when you get a fight date and like the stress, even though all you have to do is train and all of that, like I almost just wanted to be normal.
Yeah.
And rest, and that's what I am now, and I love it, but at the same time, like that bit of my life gave me such a kick for a long time. Like I almost wish I knew what I knew now. Sure.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And Ajahn Topics recently put out a video where he's going to take a little bit of a break, and I just thought you hit that time in life where I just thought he nailed it best. It was quite a long video, but in my opinion, he summed it up in like a few words, and it was, I didn't have to ask Muay Thai anymore. I didn't have to ask Muay Thai if I can eat that donut, if I can go out with my friend, if I can take a day off. I don't have to ask Muay Thai anymore.
Yeah.
Do you get a sense of mental relief from that? You don't always have to worry about that. That's got to be a nice relief. Hey, I can let go of all that thought.
Definitely. And it's almost the pressure you put upon yourself.
For sure.
You can go out with your friends, but they're probably drinking or doing something that maybe you don't want to be around it with, or you want an early night and things like that, or it's just effort to get ready or anything like that. Like it's definitely took that pressure off, but that pressure was only applied by yourself, and that's just because you were the best.
Standards are high.
Yeah, and you just wanted to do everything you could. So when you got in the ring, I was always 100% confident in myself because I trained so hard and I had done everything. So it's definitely something that you put upon yourself. But, looking back, like in the morning, I get up now at like 7:30. I'm like, I have no idea how I used to do all of that in the morning. But you did.
You just did it.
Yeah, you just did it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. At what point did you start the regional scene? That's how it's supposed to go. You clean out the regional scene, you go a little further, maybe you clean out the country scene, and then you start going international. At what point were you dominating the UK scene and it was time to take things bigger?
It's difficult because obviously you've got your junior stage and then your adult stage. So the junior stage, I kind of dominated the UK, and then there was a time where I wasn't on the scene as much. I'd probably say between the years of like 13 to 17. And that's when I'd just fight on my dad's shows, and he'd actually get international opponents, and that would come over, and they were a bit older. And he always said there's something about the UK women, and they were just kind of stronger back then. So when I was 17, just before my 18th birthday, I'm sure, I had a fight on Infusion against Alexis Rufus, who was UK number 1 at the time. And he was a lot older than me. And that was when I just, I won. I won that fight. I loved that fight as well. I won the Infusion world title. That was actually on Kieran's show. He put me on.
Shout out to Kieran.
Yeah, and then a shout out to Kieran. I love Kieran. And then after that, there was no one really that could touch me. You know, I had a few fights, and I'd clear everyone up, and then that was it. It was a struggle, and they had to get international opponents if I wanted to fight elsewhere. So like a lot of times, Kieran would come to me and say, or to Mark, and say, I need names of, because everyone that I've contacted have said no type thing. So we had to get international opponents, and I'm lucky that some of the promoters in the UK really looked after me. You know, it's hard to sell tickets when you're so far from home, but Kieran always got on his show, and a lot of other people as well. So yeah, I always appreciate them and remember them.
Nice. Yeah, no, I hear you. Preach. I was just thinking about Kieran. UK. Okay, sorry, that's what I was going to say. So it sort of sounds like because you dominated in the junior ranks, it just kind of flipped right over to adult. You were already well on your way.
Yeah, I think my dad was quite clever on what he did as well. He kind of like held me back and to kind of see what I could do, and then he let me go when he realised, you know, I probably didn't have like my adult strength at 18, but he knew handle my own, and the amount of experience I had, he kind of thought, actually, anyone at that weight, I'd be comfortable now with just she can fight whoever type thing.
Yeah. At what point, I'll say it for you, but at what point did you realize, like, I am a bad motherfucker? Like, at what point did you come to terms with that? Just out of curiosity. Sorry for swearing at your school, by the way.
Oh, it's all right. It was probably that fight, you know, because I'd sold, for me, this is a lot. Like I'd sold 110 tickets from people from my area, but also people within the Thai boxing community. So it was a big show, and I sold 110 tickets. And the setup of the show was amazing. I was about to fight the UK number 1. She'd been number 1 for however long. It was like a woman, and I felt like I was still a girl. But I was so confident in my ability, and so was my dad, that I knew I could win. And I just come out on stage, and there's this picture where I'm just like this, like watching everyone cheer me on, and like the crowd, it was like emotional, and it was just amazing that I had so much support and everyone was there, and then everyone watched me win as well. I did feel unstoppable then, and I thought, I think I'm quite good, actually.
Maybe I am pretty good at this.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you miss that feeling? Like you were talking about coming out, you're emotional. Is that something you miss?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's got to be the biggest thing.
Definitely. When I feel like sometimes people forget that I'm a person as well. Like, you know, when I bump into people on the street, instead of saying like, hi, how are you? They'd always be like, oh, when's your next fight?
Sure.
And that's like, I felt like that's not that all they cared about, but they almost forgot like I was a person.
They completely just identified you as that.
Yeah. And so that's probably what I've struggled with when people have said, oh, you're not really retired, are you? Or when's your next fight? And I'm like, oh, I've retired. And they'll be like, you're too young. I'm like, I am 31. And they're like, yeah, that's too young. But I'm like, I have been doing it since I was 4 as well. Like,
right. At this point, to keep you going, you're going to have to do some gimmicks, do it blindfolded or, you know, under the ocean or fighting sharks or something.
Yeah. But I definitely feel like that moment, you're almost like, you know, Beyonce is Sasha Fierce.
Yes.
Like, that's who I became. Like I was a man normally, and then when I would walk out to my fights, I was the pretty killer, and I'd kind of just go into my own mindset, but enjoy it along the way. And then even afterwards, when you've won and you kind of reaping the rewards on the internet, and people are being so nice, it was a buzz. It was a real buzz,
Sure.
and I feel like the more fights I had, the shorter that buzz would be. For some reason, it's like I wasn't getting as much satisfaction out of it. And I would be raised and I'd be like, yeah, I won. And with
Let's go
myself,
party. Oh, yeah, it's no big deal. I just won again. You know, another world title. You know, whatever.
not like that, but it was
I
like,
know.
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I won. And then it's like I wasn't satisfied, or I wasn't happy enough with my performance, or I became like very critical and a bit like that.
Sure.
But I definitely feel like the buzz didn't last as long as towards the end.
Yeah. Yeah. No, makes sense. What was your Oh, first of all, I got so excited to start this thing talking to you. I forgot your nickname. You just mentioned it. Pretty Killer. That is an awesome name. Who came up with that?
So it was a guy called Jitty Damaram, and he was based in Thailand. We used to go to his gym every year, and he
JD
basically,
Jim.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
He basically said, if you're going to fight, you need a fight name. Everyone in Thailand has fight names, and that's when he named me when I was like 8 years old, Soy Pakat, and that translates as beautiful killer. And then I don't know. I think we just changed it to beautiful killer, pretty killer. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It on the back of my shorts when I was like 8 years old, and then just kind of stuck with it, and it wasn't really a thing. And then people started calling me the pretty killer, and I was like, yeah. And then shorten it to PK, and yeah, it just started from there. Really, more from everyone else than me.
Yeah, it's better that way. Don't do that to yourself. Let everybody else do it.
Better as well when I'm like, no, I was given it when I was 8, and I was quite cute with a little fringe.
Right. What at what point did things start getting like, well, international for you? Like how do you when did things, the Iman Barlow that the world knows, when did that start happening for you?
It's difficult because I feel like it's always happened. Like, you know, with my dad taking me and my brother to Thailand every summer, literally from when I was 8 till I was about 16.
Yeah,
like,
let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously, you spent an enormous amount of time in Thailand.
Yeah.
Tell us how that's been growing up through that.
Yeah, so to me, obviously, that was normal. Going to Thailand was normal, and the culture and the lifestyle, that was all quite normal to me. So when I was fighting in Thailand, I thought it was normal. Like, I didn't think it was a big thing, like people might get a bit more nervous or things like that. Like, it never really affected me. I'd just try and get, we collectively would just try and get as many fights as I could in Thailand in the 6 weeks we were there. And it seemed like each year I'd go, I'd kind of get a little bit of a name for myself, and then obviously I'd go home. So then the next year I came back and they were like, oh, she needs a warm-up fight first before we get her a big fight. But every year I used to fight on what's called the Queen's birthday. So it was like a big event in the middle of August. And I fought some really good girls as well, and won a few titles in Thailand. And yeah, it was good. It was good.
And this is still in your teenage years, yeah?
Yeah, this was when
that's pretty crazy.
I had most of my fights in when I was a teenager in Thailand. I'd probably say I had around 25, maybe, around that land. And then yeah, maybe after the Alexis Rufus fight at the O2 in London, I started getting a few more international fights. And then just when things were happening, like I got flown to Australia 3 times to fight. Like,
I'm a big fan of Aussie Muay Thai. I love it there.
Oh, they love the elbows. They're nuts.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they are nuts. Yeah, savages for violence.
Yeah, but so lovely. So I remember the first time I went to Perth on the way home, like I'd won, and on the way home I was so poorly. Like, I think I had food poisoning, and then obviously we've got this nearly 24-hour flight home. And I was like, I'm not going back there ever again. This is awful. Like, the trip was so long, and because I was poorly.
Right.
And then we got a call back to go to Melbourne. I was like, yeah, I'll go. Like, just said.
Nice.
I think that's probably been the best thing, like traveling the world and meeting all these new people that just kind of embrace you and are so kind, because you've all got that one thing in common, and that's Muay Thai.
Yeah, yeah. At what point did that become not normal for you? Oh, I'm sorry. Before we get there, the question I had about Thailand. Why was it so important for you guys to get all the to rack up as many fights in Thailand? What was it about Thailand?
It was more kind of just to see what I could do again, like see the progression, and obviously it's A-class rules as well. No, I feel like back then, remember, this is like nearly 20 years ago. Yeah, oh my God, nearly 20 years ago, where actually females fought the same, but it was almost like an understanding that we didn't really elbow, even though you could.
Okay.
Now I feel like elbows are a big thing and no one really cares if you've got a scar. But I feel like back then, like, no one actually threw an elbow that much with women. This is like obviously teenagers. So it was kind of like a rule like that. I almost forgot that I could fight with elbows at some point.
Right. That makes sense. I get it. And I agree. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The fight thing was kind of because there's so many events going on in we were mainly in Bangkok. There were so many opportunities to fight that it's like get 3 fights in 6 weeks while we're there, because you don't know what fights we're going to get when we're home.
Right. With chest protectors, helmets, eye guards, ear guards, toe guards, right? Like, yeah, get rid of all that stuff in Thailand for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Just out of curiosity, like you were saying, women and there's kind of an understanding and things are a little bit different. How do you feel for at least this, maybe my generation, maybe a little bit younger, but how do you feel about being like you're a powerful figure in combat sports for every reason that you already know? Do you feel any of that? Are you proud of that? Is that something you think about? Is that something you wear proudly? I'm just kind of curious. How do you? I got a ton of messages from women and girls that were like, "That's my favorite fighter of all time." I've never had as many messages as my favorite fighter of all time when I said you were coming on. Obviously, a very powerful person for women in sports. How do you feel about that? Do you feel any pressure? Is that anything you think about?
Oh, that's made me feel a bit emotional. Nice comments, because I almost feel like I don't know, now I've retired, that'll get forgotten about. I know that's so bad, because that's the way life works.
Sure.
New and up and coming people will come through, and then I'm not as good on social media as other people, and I feel like I didn't promote myself as well as I could have back then. But it's hard, like, and I also come from like a family and a small town where everything I did was normal, so it wasn't a big deal. So
Right.
when I was doing all these things, I'd come back and I'd just go see my mates, and they're like, "Oh, well done at the weekend," and that was it. Like,
Right.
it's normal. So everything I did quite normal, so it wasn't a big thing. And it's not until like I look back at my achievements, I'm like, wow. And I said it in my retirement video, like, I look back and I'm so proud of myself, and I almost wish I'd been more proud about myself and shouted it out more to everyone.
I hear you.
How good I was. But it wasn't until I finished I kind of realized how good I was. So
Sure. You're too busy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that. Yeah. Yeah, it's so nice, and to have people kind of giving you well wishes like that, and saying things like that, because it just means I did something good.
Damn right. Do you feel at all that, maybe not in the world stage, but how about the UK stage? Do you feel like you've helped pave that trail for women, girls?
I hope so. I really hope so. I always feel like when I went abroad, people liked me more than in the UK.
Really?
Yeah. but I hope so, and I think so. I definitely think so. Yeah.
Nice. I from the response I got, I could say it goes beyond the UK. It's definitely worldwide. And don't get me wrong, as I'm sitting here, I'm hearing somebody, oh, it's normal. We go and do this. And even myself, I admit, I keep going like, oh, Iman's really fun. And then I flip like, do you remember who you're talking to? Everything that you've done? Like, even while I'm talking to you, I keep going back and forth here. Just out of curiosity, then, can you tell us, since I keep inflating your tires here, what kind of titles? Give us your accolades. Brag a little bit for us.
Um, I won the Infusion World title in, I'd like to say 2017, and then I defended it successfully for 8 consecutive years.
Woo.
Yeah, that I had real good fun on Infusion as well. They really looked after me.
Like,
Again,
listen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but listen, there's no other fighter that gets to talk like that. There's no other fighter that gets to say, I've defended it for 8 years. I have 200, 300, 900 junior fights. I've only have 5 losses. Like, this is what I keep talking about. I'm like, oh, it's Iman. She's nice. But like, listen, nobody gets to talk like that. That's fucking amazing.
yeah, it was good. It was good. And it was, again, normal. I thought
Not normal. Not normal.
when you were supposed to, like, I fought on Infusion, it was three threes because it was kickboxing Infusion rules. But basically, my dad said, well, actually, we wanted to do 5 rounds because I always perform better over 5 rounds.
Sure.
And 3 rounds is not long enough. So,
Yeah.
well, you're going to have to defend the title time then, because 5-round fights are only title fights. So we were just like, okay,
Let's
we'll
go.
just. Every time I fought, yeah, I defended the title. And obviously Infusion was quite a Dutch company, and I'd have a lot of fights in Holland, and it was almost like the girls were lining up to fight me because there was almost some sort of rivalry that I didn't know about, that I just think hated me. And once in Voss Gym, I think I fought 3 girls, obviously the same weight from Voss Gym, and each time I beat them. And then one time this guy approached me and he was like, oh, like, what's your name? And I was like, oh, I'm Iman. He's like, oh, Iman Barlow? I said, yeah. He goes, you're the most hated girl in Voss Gym.
Well, I wear that proudly.
And then, yeah. So yeah, I had a good time in Infusion and I defended that. And I didn't like leave Infusion, but that's almost when they kind of struggled to get me fights, and then that's when I moved on to one championship just before COVID. I won so many British titles as a junior. I won the S1 world title when I was 14 in Bangkok Stadium. That was amazing. And obviously, as a 14-year-old, I had this amazing, lovely pink belt that I loved. That was quite a signature one as well back in the day, S1. It was like Songchai. I won a WPMF world title in Thailand as well. I won a British title, adult world title in England, and then just went on to win Europeans, worlds, Lion Fight, WBC Intercontinental, a lot.
Nice. Where do you keep all your trophies and belts?
They're actually all in my bedroom at my mum's house, and I only took one when I moved in to my own house, and she was fuming about it. She's like, what do I do? I'm like, just leave them like that. She's like, no, I want to decorate. And I'm like, no, you've got to leave all the belts all around the wall, sorry. And they are just the adult ones as well. I don't even know where the junior ones are, on top of the cupboard somewhere.
Holy cow. Awesome. Do you have a favorite one that you won? Not okay, I'll tell you what. Do you have a favorite, like, belt? Number 1, belt or medal, and number 2, a favorite experience winning one of those?
Oh, I've got loads.
All right.
A WBC Intercontinental, I love that because it's beautiful and green, and everyone knows what the WBC is. Even like I come from an area where they quite like boxing as well, so obviously they understand what WBC is. And I also, my brother always wanted a WBC belt, so I'm like, beat to it.
Yeah. I got to keep the competition going.
Yeah.
Nice.
My favorite medal was probably I won that, I would say not too long ago, but a few years ago when I fought at the World Games. First of all, I fought at the IFMAs in 2022, I'd like to say, in Thailand. And everyone thinks, oh, IFMAs, amateur, like, don't need to do that because I'm professional. But it was back in COVID when, like, not as many fights were happening.
Yeah.
So I took the opportunity and just thought, actually, I've got everything to lose here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a professional fighter. And the IFMAs are so hard.
Yeah.
It's like a game with all the pads back on. Like, I always quite relied on my power and my stamina, and it taken away a bit with everything on. But I had a couple of hard fights, but I won gold in that. And then I qualified for the World Games. And then for me, it was just like history making. You know, I was the first UK athlete to ever win gold at IFMA, and then let alone female. Then I was the first athlete to ever compete at the World Games in Thai boxing, and then I won gold again. So
It's
yeah,
crazy. Winning. History. First one, winning. Like, do you hear yourself?
I loved it. I loved it. That's all I know. There's it's not all about winning. It was.
Sure.
I wanted to be the best, and because I trained to be the best. So yeah.
And in that case, winning becomes a habit.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like addictive because you know what it feels like to lose, and it is so shit. It's horrible. You feel like your life's over, but if you come back stronger, then it was almost worth it. But I knew what that feeling was like, so that's why I really did not want to lose.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And then you were a terrible loser. You didn't do too many of those.
Yeah.
Before we talk about your fight style and stuff like that, before we get into it, if you could describe your fight style with one word, what would it be?
Powerful.
Beauty. So first of all, let me tell you what I see from my eyes. Number one, the thing that I always catch the most, that's eye-catching with your style, is you round kick people like you do on the pads. And it's rare to see people properly follow through with their roundhouse kick, and you don't miss. It's every one. You'll do it from very far away. You'll do it from close, but it's always completely turned over and properly landed. And even when they catch kicks, I don't know, you're a cat. You don't go down. You keep your balance. Sometimes you end up in the clinch. The ref breaks it up, or sometimes you escape. Along with that, stamina, like you said, I've seen you. I watched you, and I would like to talk about that fight in a little bit, but just go. Endless energy, phenomenal clinch, great, like super well-rounded game. But I would have to say, for me, those round kicks, my goodness, super eye-catching. Tell us about your fight style. Where did you find it? How did you get comfortable with it? Did anybody sort of like mold you into it, or was this just sort of like, I'm kind of a kicker, I'm kind of a,
Yeah.
Where does your style of fighting come from?
It's difficult because I love kicking. I literally love it. Like, I just find it, I don't think I'll regret saying this, but I just find it so easy. Like, kicking is,
you make it look easy.
It's like, even when you're kicking the pads, it's like less effort than actually punching. My leg just comes up, but I don't know. But, a lot of the times my game plan was to do different things. But it's like, as soon as I was in there, I'd forget and I'd just start kicking because it was almost like I'd always revert back to that. And I just, sometimes it'd be like, we really need to try and practice our boxing now. Like, so you need to be using your hands more. And I'd be like, yep. Get in there. That's gone out the window. And I'm kicking all of a sudden and forgot about that. And people would say to me, why don't you go into boxing? Or why don't you have a boxing fight? And I'd just be like, no, I hate boxing. And
I want to kick.
Yeah. And I think my fight style obviously comes a lot from my dad. He was kind of always my main pad holder. Sometimes I'd go with the other guys. But if I ever had a fight, he'd always take time and take me on the pads. He always came up with a game plan. He always said, this person does this, so that's when you need to kick, or that's when you should punch, or you need to watch your distance. And sometimes I'd be like, yep, yep, and then I'd get in there and I'd just do whatever. But at times as well, I was very good at listening to my corner, and obviously it's usually my dad's voice. No matter how many people are there, I can always hear his voice, and that is what I think why I was so good, because he'd find the openings, shout it. Next minute, I was like a robot. I just did it. Obviously, not every single move. Yeah, there's a lot of time you can hear him in even when you watch it back on YouTube, you can hear him say something, and then within seconds, I'm doing it.
Obviously, that comes from being a father, being in the fight game since you were 4. But from a coach's point of view, it's sure nice when the Nintendo controller does what you want it to.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've been doing like a few people's corners as well, and you know, you shout things, and they just don't do it, or they don't do it as soon as you say. So if you're shouting, I don't know, right head kick, now, they'd wait, and then 5 seconds later they'd throw it. Whereas that opportunity is missed now.
Right.
And some of it is because they're so tired and they can't concentrate or realize, or sometimes people can't hear what the coach is saying. So I think that's something that me and my dad worked well, because you know, he was my coach, he was there all the time, and also he's my dad, so I can hear his voice
no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just out of curiosity, how was the not out of curiosity, we all want to know, what was it like making the transition to the little gloves in one championship? Sorry.
It was crazy. I think the training for it was harder than the fights, because we ordered a pair of gloves. Oh my God, they were so tiny. They weigh like nothing.
Yeah.
But even when you're punching, like usually say I'd be able to do like 1, 2, 3, 4. In these little gloves, you're like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Like it's so quick, and it's like, oh my God. And also you've got no guard whatsoever. You have to train, like my guard's always been quite good. And I never had any cuts, touch wood.
Shut up.
Yeah, through all my fights, I never had any cuts.
Wow.
And I quite a good guard. And yeah, so in that, your guard's like this, but obviously in them gloves, it can't be like this.
Right.
So it was just adapting everything. And then we were like, you need to move. You need to get your footwork better. You need to be constantly moving, because in the fight game anyway, it only ever takes one shot.
Mm-hmm.
But now in this game, if you take one shot in them little gloves, it's anyone's game. So you've just got to be ever so careful. So our kind of game plan was just to move, hit, never be in one place so they can't hit kind of me.
Yep.
And I don't know, someone could probably prove me wrong if they looked back at the videos, but I feel like I didn't really get punched in the face in them gloves, so I'm quite happy with my outcome.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to be honest, it was the picture perfect style. I thought your mix of footwork, changing angles, the long kicks, you'd throw more than one punch on the inside. Like, I thought it was perfect.
Yeah,
perfect style.
Was. But yeah, and that's the. I think, you know, I'm not going to lie, I don't like getting hit. I don't like getting punched in the face. I don't think anyone does, but really got through all them fights without getting punched in the face that much. I was quite lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just how it's about being smart. You know, it's all right. Sometimes people can take a shot and go, yeah, come on. But to me, that's not smart. I've got quite a high fight IQ, and the right thing to do is move. If you hurt, move. If you hurt, grab on. You know, you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, for sure. Again, we don't have to get into specifics, but just curious, there was a little bit of friction on your exit of one championship into retirement. Not that we have to get into that, but I'm just curious what led up to the retirement.
So when I signed for one championships, COVID, I had supposed to have my first fight, like it had been announced.
Right.
For the world title straight away, against a girl called Victoria. I can't remember her last name, like Shaplinsky or something. She had the title. I was literally the week of the fight, well, it must have been 2 weeks before the fight, but the week we were almost supposed to fly, at the end of the week, like everything got shut down. So my heart was like broken, and obviously everyone's was with COVID.
Sure.
But I didn't think that what would happen then happened. Like, I just would beg to get on, and I wasn't really getting any response. And then I seen other fighters coming from the UK, like, and fighting. So it's like, well, I can fight then. Surely I should be like at the top of the list because I was supposed to fight, but that's not how it works. And then I did actually get flown over, and I was supposed to fight Katrina, and she was fortunately near someone on the plane who had COVID. So then, like, Singapore rules were she had to be isolated, so I had no fight, which was not anyone's fault. Then again, I begged and begged for another fight, like, as soon as possible, and it took a while. I finally got on in, I think it was March 20, I don't even know, 21 or 22. I can't even remember. I think it was 2022. And I did that first round knockout, 50 grand bonus.
Yeah.
I'm loving life. I'm like, please get me on again, please, 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 please. And then just didn't really hear anything back from my manager. It was always very difficult. Like, all the messages, I'm always like begging my manager, like, have you got anything? No, I'll know tomorrow. So I wait 2 days, message him again. No, end of the week. It was just constantly, I was living my life like that. And we take everything seriously. So my dad would always, like, basically, we'd start a fight camp, even though there was going to be nothing at the end.
Right.
Like,
just out of hope.
Yeah. And it just broke my heart. And me and my dad kind of like argued a bit and would disagree on things. Like, I would know it's not going to happen, and he'd try and like keep hope and be like, yeah, you know, it might, you need to stay ready.
Yeah.
It was just so hard. So yeah, I fought again a year later. And then they did ask me back on, and I agreed to fight with Smeela. And then they changed I'd signed the contract for it. I had to actually sign a new contract as well. I signed the date, and then a few weeks later, they ended up moving the fight date. And the fight date they'd moved it to, so I booked all of summer off. Like, the fight date fell perfect for me because I work at a school. I could book all of summer off and have time to train and, you know, for the world title, really go for it. And then they moved the date to 4 weeks later. And the 4 weeks later was when my dad's show was, like the same day, which he'd already started planning and put money in. And so we had to then turn it down, and they just weren't very happy about that. They said, can't you send like a mom with someone else? And that's like not how we do things. And everyone else would have been at this show anyway. So it was not like we had another cornerman I could be sent with. And just, things started, but things started breaking down, and we basically just said, it doesn't look like you're going to fight again. I tried to get fights elsewhere. They wouldn't give me permission. And I just had enough. I really had. It was going on for years. It'd been going on since, you know, the COVID thing. And I'd
3-4 years.
Yeah, I just had enough. All I wanted to do was fight. I wasn't that hard to deal with. I wasn't a difficult person. There was only certain things that we wanted which weren't unreasonable. And I just always wanted to fight. But then, like, opportunities kept being given to me, like, with 10 days notice. I think you're taking the piss, actually. No.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. That's what happened, just relationship breakdown. And that's a nice
Which happens. It happens. You know.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be friends with everybody.
No, I think that's what we struggled with as a team and a partnership, is that we were so used to being able to do what we wanted. We were going around the world, meeting lovely people on almost like a word. Like, someone would Facebook message you, I've got this fight in Australia. Do you want it? Yes. This is your purse. Is that okay? Yes. Pay for flights and hotel. But if you come for over a week, you have to pay the rest. Is that okay? Yes. Done. And this stranger that we've never met before, and I'd fly to Australia. They'd look after me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
people that you've never met in the community, and it was kind of like you kept your word. Like, I didn't have to sign contracts for all fights to happen, and that's what Muay Thai is about. But this is obviously a business and corporate, and it was just a bit different. Yeah,
Felt businessy and corporate-y.
yes, and they favorites, and I was clearly not one.
Silly mistake.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a tough question then? Are you comfortable with how it ended?
No.
Okay, and on that same thing, are you simply comfortable with the fact that this is actually over?
Yes, I'm comfortable with it's over with. Like I say, I've got so much less stress, but like it was taken away from me a bit. Like, that's not how it ended. But what can you do? I'm moment, and would I look back and do things different? If I knew what I knew now, yes, definitely. I say to all these people, like, just go around and enjoy yourself and fight as much as you can when you're not kind of, tied down.
Right. Yeah. Good call. Get out, spread those fingers as much as you can.
Yeah, exactly. While you can. To be honest, we looked at it, we kind of knew that would happen in a way, but I was signed to like 3 fights a year, like 2 years, 6 fights. And that didn't happen. So that's what I'm more annoyed about, that I thought it would work that way.
Right. Well,
I'd be getting fights a year, but now you look back, I don't think there's many people that are actually getting 3 fights a year.
No, it's kind of there's about 5 or so people. What also is funny is like for me, like the regulars who keep getting fights, it's trivial to me that you wouldn't be one of those regulars, because you have the fight style that keeps the regulars coming back. Like you should be the one of the poster men kind of thing, right? Like, it makes sense to me.
I don't know what it was. Even like the second time I fought, I wasn't even on the main card. Like, I'm not like, blowing my own trumpet, but I wasn't even on like the TV bit.
Right.
There was only, I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 fights that were like on the prelims, I think they called it. And then they had the card, and I was like, whatever, like, I'm happy to do whatever.
Sure.
But I was like, oh.
Do you know who I am?
I'd definitely say that, because honestly, when you go there, like, you're just a number. Maybe not other, I think by the looks of it, John Haggerty has been well looked after, and that's how it should be. But I was looked after when I went there. I definitely was. But yeah, sometimes I think there's a bit of a less personal touch. But
I got to be honest, I do think mine of that might come with the fact that you're holding 1 or more fight cards a week.
Yes, definitely.
Those wheels got to keep turning.
Yeah, that's another thing. My manager told me, like, oh, they'll be doing 1 a month, so there'll be so many opportunities, but that's not actually how it's happening, is it? It's like the Friday night fights and then thingy. But yeah, just got live time, done with that.
Yep. No, I understand. We're getting kind of near the end here, and I'll let you go right away. We all got life and stuff, and I got to get my kid to school. I literally had to call them and say, so my kid's going to be late today. So yeah, you're already there. What would you say if there was a country that were like, was there one particular country where you found it the hardest to compete?
Oh, the hardest to compete. That's a hard question. That's so hard. I have like a big long list of all the countries that was easy.
Right.
Not hard. I literally can't think.
No worries. While you're thinking that, I can go to another one for you.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to bring up, the one and only time I got to see you live was in Canada when you fought Ashley AK-47 Nichols.
Yeah.
Ashley is no longer with us. Rest in peace. I was wondering if you could just take a minute to let us know what it was like sharing the ring time with someone like that. That was a good close fight, and you don't get to see you in too many close fights like that. I'm curious, what was it like to spend some ring time with Ashley?
Yeah, she obviously, I did infusion like reality with her as well, so I knew her previously before going into this fight, and she was kind of like an all-rounded fighter. She was very like aggressive, like kind of like non-stop, a bit like me as well. And I knew she kind of like wouldn't take a step back. And it was a very difficult fight for me. It was very close.
Yeah, both of you. Yeah, it was nonstop.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
just 5 rounds.
Yep.
And that was probably the closest kind of title defense that I had on Infinity, and it was good. I think I'd come to Canada for like a week or 10 days previously, but then I was really like poorly. I don't even know what was wrong with me, but I was like, I said to my dad, I need to go sleep, and I feel ill. I kept being sick. I had no energy. And he basically just let me sleep, and I slept for like 48 hours.
Wow.
But I'd gone all that way, and I was like, I'm going to fight, like no matter what, but I just need to rest at the moment. But she gave me a fight, and always very kind as well.
Nice. I'm happy to hear that. It was an honor and pleasure to me. I'm happy I got to witness that fight. Obviously, I got to see you fight live. I got to see Ashley fight live. Infusion World Title match, only one and only probably that we're going to see in Canada. So,
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So I'm honored and privileged that I got to watch that. Next question: if you could give any advice to girls or women who are coming up and want to be you, what would you say to them? Let's say there are 5 fights in. They're about 5 fights. So really looking up to people like you. What advice could you give?
I would say train hard, look after your body, and listen to your coach.
There you go.
If you don't trust your coach, it's going to be difficult. You need to trust them and listen to them, because they can always see things on the outside which you can't necessarily see in.
Smart. Good advice. If there was anything more you could do with Muay Thai before retirement, what would it be?
Oh my God. I don't know. I'd like to do like an all-female show and
Nice.
just fly everyone in internationally and just get some great matchups and pay everyone what they deserve. So like £10,000 a fight.
Okay. Besides the price, let's take the purse away. Is that something maybe in the future?
No, because I've not got enough money.
Maybe instead of 10,000, I'll give you
I feel like people
Donald's coupon.
Like time is such a poor man's sport that
Yeah.
you know, that's one thing I regret, is not asking more for sponsorship and fighting more for what I deserved and
Agreed.
and things like that. So I think, yeah, I wish fighters could be kind of pushed more, and people kind of doing things for them, like the promotional videos and things like that. Like,
Yeah.
no,
It's a pain. Even the little videos and posts I make for this, I do myself. God, they're such a pain in the ass to do. It'd be nice to have someone else do that.
How TikTok works, do TikTok, but I don't get it. I've not got patience.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it'd be nice to have somebody to help back that part of your fight camp. I hear you. What's life after fighting for you? Is there? I know you're teaching, but is there still Muay Thai in your life?
Yeah, I still train regular. I'm still about in the gym. I also run a promotion with my dad, so he's got me into promoting.
Nice.
So we try, like, he does it anyway, so now he's like kind of brought me along for the ride and shown me the ropes. It's very stressful as well, like
so many moving parts.
Yeah, people don't message back or just all sorts. It's like crazy chaos, but it keeps me involved in the sport still as well, which I love. And I train regular. I've also moved out, bought a house with my boyfriend, so we've been living in that about a year now. And hopefully maybe start a family.
There you go. Right on.
Yeah.
Last couple questions here. Who are your 3 favorite top fighters of all time and why?
Oh God. Nongo.
Nongho.
Yeah, he's just like so clever, like got a high fight IQ, skill. I think he's getting a bit too old now, which
Okay.
makes me
Yep, me too.
um probably Sanchai, just
Hmm.
because I know he's like international love, but he can do pretty much anything, even at the age he is now, which is
Yep.
crazy.
Hey, can I ask you a quick question on Sanchai? So I had Adrian Sheed on the podcast a few ago. Do you know Adrian?
No.
No. Okay. British guy lived in Thailand. He trains Petch.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I asked him, do we not consider Sanchai the greatest of all time because he's still fighting and maybe not the highest level? He puts Sanchai as the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Do
Yeah.
you?
He's probably not, but I couldn't name someone that is. Like, there's probably stadium fighters that achieved more, not
Sure.
achieved more, like internationally, like he is kind of the face of Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Like him and Blackout.
Hmm.
People go crazy for them internationally.
Hmm.
Whereas there's probably a lot of stadium fighters that we probably don't even know their names that did a lot back in the day.
Right. Right.
But yeah, as like he's been marketed well and
Sure.
global, and his skills are crazy.
Unbelievable. Yeah, like a movie.
I wouldn't want to fight him.
No kidding. Gonna end up on YouTube.
Yeah, and also he's someone that can just make you look stupid as
Yeah.
well, and you can do that. Like I couldn't do that. I couldn't
Right.
make someone look stupid. Like I'm not saying I only have power,
Right.
but yeah, he's very skillful and has the little tricks and the slips and the all sorts. And
With
I think
zero effort.
yeah, exactly.
That's why he's Sanchai.
Yeah.
And number
So
three? Oh, sorry.
So I've got two, haven't I? Number three. I don't know.
That's okay.
Probably Liam Harrison for what he's done for UK Muay Thai. You know, he's again marketed well. He has his website, which he does very well on.
Yeah.
He has quite a big voice as well. And I think a lot of people, he's inspired a lot of people. And also, he could be at number three just for that that fight he had where there was like 5
Long
knockdowns.
tie.
Yeah, I watched that and I just, you're like, oh my god, and like the narrative just changed constantly.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I
fun
don't-
to be a fight fan watching those.
I don't get one of them often at all. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go. Nongo, Sanchai, Liam Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, I should have a female in there, shouldn't I? But
Hey, it's your list. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, last question. You're only allowed to give one shout out. One person gets one shout out. Who gets it?
shout out to my brother, even though he probably won't be listening. It's great to see him carrying on and smashing the fight scene at the minute, and I am by his side every step of the way.
Nice. There you go. And that would be Ty, right?
Ty
Shout out to
Barlow,
Ty.
27 now. That's
Okay.
bad, I don't know. 27 years old, yeah, and he's been smashing it.
That makes me feel old. I've been following you guys for a long time, and I remember when he was just kind of getting into the adult scene. So that makes me feel old.
Time goes quick.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Where do we find you? Where do we find you on social media? Now that you're doing this and now you're going to become a social media guru, where do we find you?
Well, first of all, you can't find me on Facebook because I got hacked.
Oh, me too. Me too. Had to start a new one.
Yeah, and I really didn't want to do that. All my fight posts, everything, all my pictures, like I've just
And
obviously,
nobody gets back to you no matter who you complain to.
I'm heartbroken. So yeah, that's been happening for about a whole year.
Hmm.
And I actually got hacked and managed to get it back, but this time I got proper hacked, so you can't even. But you can find me on Instagram at PrettyKiller3, and that's probably the only way I can post now, unless it's my own.
I hear you. God damn you, Facebook.
Yeah.
Anything else before we're out of here?
No, just thank you for your time.
No, thank you for your time. This is huge for me. Like, I'm telling you, we're like talking about things, and oh, it's just normal for me. Then you'd bust out. Yeah, I won. I'm 14 years old. I fought a 31-year-old. Won all these things. Like, It's amazing. Those are amazing accolades, and this is one of the this year, I believe, episode 122, and this is definitely one of the crowns I get to wear that you were on the show. So thank you very much. I'm honored. I'm privileged, and I was excited to do this. My kid's late for school.
Oh,
I already phoned them. Hey, listen, he's going to be late. I got things to do. I'm sorry.
oh, that's great. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you very much. And other than that, I can't wait to see what's in the future for you, whether it's teaching kids or cornering and promoting. I'm a big fan, as well as clearly lots of others. So we have nothing but well wishes for you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone that still supports me.
Damn right. All right, Iman. Thank you very much. I'll let you get to it.
All right. Take care.
Off to school. Thank you. Bye.